There's pain. Definitely there's pain. There is this constant fight for something as simple as breathing, and your body is basically begging you to quit. Despite all that, why do we climb mountains? After spending a day at Kasol, hiking towards Talal for breakfast, and chilling near the banks of the Parvati river, we finally packed our bags and set out for our next destination, Manikaran Sahib Gurudwara. Now, if you have no idea what I just said, that is because you haven't watched part 1 of this 2-part Himachal series, so go ahead and check that out. We had a wholesome langar at the Gurudwara and then set out for our next destination, Tosh, through the same cab. This entire journey from Kasol to Manikaran to Tosh cost us around $1,400. The cab dropped us right at the entrance of Tosh village. Now, Tosh is a proper Himachal village with narrow walkways and wooden houses. It's way less crowded than Kasol, and all people do here is just kick back and relax, watch some really beautiful snow-clad mountain views, and enjoy some delicious cafe food. From there, we walked all the way towards Third Eye Guest House and Cafe, booked a room at the top floor for $1,200, and this was the view from our hotel room. Now, words couldn't justify how beautiful Tosh was or how beautiful its surroundings were, so I'll let the drone shots take over. So we had a basic dal chawal dinner at night and went to sleep early because tomorrow was the big day when we were finally going to trek Kheerganga. We woke up early in the morning, had breakfast, booked a cab from Tosh to Barseni, from where the trek begins. Now from Barseni, there are 2 routes which go towards Kheerganga. The first route passes through Nakhtan village and Rudranag, and the second route passes through the villages of Kalga and Pulga. Now, this route which passes through Kalga Pulga, the route 2, has dense forest cover, so the sun's heat doesn't directly hit you while ascending. But ये जो Nakhtan village और Rudranag वाला route है, this has basically no forest cover for the first couple of hours, so the sun's heat will basically tire you out for the first couple of hours. उतरते वक्त तो फिर भी ये रूट ठीक है क्योंकि you are descending and उतना नहीं थकोगे. So that's the reason why while ascending we took route 2 and while descending we took route 1. Right now we've started trekking towards Kheerganga. I assume it's gonna take us all afternoon and we might even reach by evening. So we've just started the trek and
Let's go.
We hired a guide, probably one of the best, Mr. Pratap, for the 12 to 13 kilometer long trek. I will leave his details down in description.
The first 15 minutes of the trek from the dam are a little steep. Okay, so as soon as you're done with that 15-minute patch at the beginning, you will come across certain cafes. You need to chill at those cafes for like 5 minutes, drink something, drink water, I mean, obviously, and then, you know, the next hour is a little straightforward with little to almost no steep patches.
And finally, after a long and painful 5 hours, we reached to the top of Kheerganga at Rock View, which was the name of our campsite. Each of us shelled out $1,000, which covered the stay, dinner and breakfast. So after 5.5 hours, we are finally on top of Kheerganga. Man, I was so tired. बहुत थक गया यार. इंग्लिश नहीं सूझ रही यार, हिंदी निकल रही है. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. Just it is a very tiring trek. So if you are a beginner, it is gonna take a toll on you. But yeah, I think finally we have reached. We have booked our camps, and I think we'll now go to the hot water springs. Kheerganga is known for its natural hot water springs. ये basically kund है, and after trekking for 5 hours in the near zero temperature of Kheerganga, जब आप इस कुंड में डुबकी मारते हो, trust me, you don't feel like getting out of there. But you eventually have to, because nobody is allowed near the hot water springs beyond 6 or 7 p.m. A couple of more things that you need to know. Photography isn't allowed near the kund. There is a separate kund for women, so it's perfectly safe. And just be very careful near the edges of the kund because they tend to get really slippery. As it got dark outside, we finally returned to the warmth of our tents. बाकी campers ने उनके साथ गप्पे मारे since there is zero mobile network on top of Kheerganga, had some unbelievably good dinner, and finally after a long and tiring day, we went to sleep. We woke up and bathed in the first rays of the sun, which rose above the mountains in front of us. थकान तो अब भी थोड़ी थी, मगर 2 आलू के पराठे क्या खा लिए, सारी थकान भाग गई. It was time to descend, and like I mentioned a little while back, we were supposed to descend down through Route 1, which passed through Rudranag and Nakthan village. It took us 4 hours to get down, and here's a quick glimpse of the return journey. And thus ended the most excruciatingly tiring trek of my life. Although, why did I do it? Why did I endlessly jerk my knees, walk uphill miles and miles and miles until I was clearly fighting for every ounce of breath? What did I achieve? Did I get rewarded in gold? Did I become immortal? No. Instead, I was left empty-handed. Why do we painstakingly climb mountains when at the end of it all, we leave empty-handed? You see, we can say the same about life, can't we? Why do we hustle right from the point where we start walking to the point where we clearly cannot? When, just like climbing, at the end of it, we leave empty-handed. That's because the start of the journey or the end of the journey don't matter. It's what happens right in between. That's what keeps you going. When I fight for something as simple as breathing, it teaches me the value of things that I otherwise take for granted. Mountains help me realize how strong I really am when I'm feeling low, and the same enormous mountain teaches me to be humble when my feet aren't touching the ground. So why do I climb mountains? Because it makes me feel alive.